Hey everyone, it's me, Ori Dosset, Calmer Sheets. I'm your anthropologist and sociologist. Please hit the like button, share this live stream, subscribe to the channel, become a member channel. Please check my novels on Amazon. Just one of them called Summer Essequibo. Okay, it's a historical fiction thriller. Check it out. And please donate the links below. Thank you very much. And for those who've donated or contributed to the Guatemala project, you'll get some updates soon. Once we're further ahead, I noted your names down, so I'll get back to you later. But anyway, before I continue, how are you all doing today? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know, please. How are you all doing today? God is good. Okay, let me see. Okay, you should be able to hear me clearly. All right, hold on. So, we are going to start now by explaining the difference between liberty and freedom. I have another question for you all. Do you know the difference between liberty and freedom? Let me know in the live chat. If you're driving a car now, please pay attention to the road, stay hands-free, then don't type in the live chat. For those who can, tell me, very brief, in just a few sentences, what is the difference between freedom and liberty? What's the difference between freedom and liberty? What's the difference between the two? I want to give you 1.5 minutes to answer this. Okay? Answer. What is the difference between freedom and liberty? Write it down in the live chat. I'll be right back. All right. You should be able to hear me much better now. Okay, that's good. So, I don't know if you all heard the question. What is the difference between freedom and liberty? Maybe some of you still type. We're still going to wait for one more minute. Then I'm going to dive into it. I just want to see what your knowledge is at the moment. The difference between freedom and liberty. Write it down for me for those who know the answer. What's the difference between freedom and liberty? Because there's a big difference between the two, and they're not the same. Okay, I'll wait for 30 seconds to see what you're all writing down. After 30 seconds, I'll continue over here. Mm-hmm. All right, let me share my screen. Um, let me just share my screen now with you. Um, okay. First, let me tell you what um, freedom is and what liberty is. Liberty comes from the Roman goddess Libertas. Okay, so it's a worship of a deity, and the worship of Libertas comes down to what society allows you to have. Liberty is all about your financial abilities. Because if you have great ideas and plans, but you can't pay for them to get it done, you don't get anywhere. So, liberty is all about what society allows you to have financially. Freedom is your ability as a human being to do something. Now, just because you're able to do something doesn't mean you should. Now, you have the ability to jump off a bridge, for example. That's an ability you have. Just walk to a bridge and jump off of it. So, is it a good idea for you to jump off a bridge? No. You have the ability to drink snake poison. Or you just grab a snake, get a poison out, and drink it. But just because you have the ability to do that, that doesn't mean that you should. Okay? So, freedom is your ability to do something, and liberty is what society agrees you're allowed to do. And tell me also, what word would that be in Dutch? Um, well, in Dutch, it's a bit tricky, those two terms. Because if you check what's the Dutch translation of liberty, it would say vrijheid. But if you type in freedom in Dutch, it's also called vrijheid. Vrij is the Dutch word for free. But if you go to older Dutch documents, it talks about vrijdom. Freedom, English, vrijdom in Dutch. The thing is, that's the thing with the Dutch language. I still need to look up the exact old Dutch term for liberty because it's not the same as freedom. But I'll come back to that later. But right now, let me share the screen with you right now. Okay. Even Google shows you that there's a difference between liberty and freedom. Here, liberty emphasizes the importance of individual rights and the limitation of government power, while freedom is more focused on the ability of individuals to pursue their own interests. Okay? Man, there are whole articles about it. I went to this one at the philarchive.org. It's an article by M. Udanim. I don't know who this individual is. Um, but here, let me make this bigger. Okay. Let's Here's it. The terms freedom and liberty are frequently used as synonymous, yet a distinction is made whenever needed between freedom as in free will and freedom as in free speech. Well, we're not going to that. In the first case, freedom refers to human capacity for self-determination, while the second, the social arrangement that's related to capacity. Okay? And later it talks about natural freedom, but then it may explain freedom is the ability to choose between alternatives. Okay, so it can see human capacity, then we call liberty. If freedom is capacity, natural human beings, society ought to address it. Since society is comprised of individuals, their constitution, both mental and physical, is of essence a social arrangement. There will be, thus, a social accommodation of freedom. Liberty will be established to allow for optimal expression of freedom to the extent possible within the constraints imposed by the necessity of living society, in a society. Well, I'm not going to read all of this. I mean, there are references also you can look at. I don't know who wrote this, but this is what this individual says: freedom is liberty. Many people think the words freedom and liberty have the same meaning, but in my opinion, they do not. Freedom is natural, a quality directed to relate to all the power we've born with and mature into. Well, human beings don't have power by themselves, but okay. But liberty is a different matter. It is what's left of our freedom after we agree to curb some of our power. We may have made that decision for any number of reasons, but most commonly we restrict our freedom because we see that if we exercise it, we will get in trouble. We are free to do whatever we can do. We are at liberty to do only what stronger natures than us permit us to do. So, so this is really what it comes down to. I don't know who's calling me right now, but I'm on the phone now. So, one moment. Yo, I'm at the a live stream right now, man. I'll call you later. Okay. So I'll call the individual later. But just so you know, freedom and liberty are not the same thing. So when politicians talk about liberty, they're talking about the concessions they allow you to do. For example, can you, if you live, for example, in the United States, go to Nicaragua to get a spouse, someone to marry? Yes, you can. However, if you want to live in the United States with your spouse, now you need to go and ask for permission from the authorities of the United States. Now you can get someone from Nicaragua, move with them to the United States back, and live without telling the authorities. That's freedom's ability for you to do that. You have the ability to do that. But on the other hand, if you do that, the U.S. government may get upset with you and take action against you because you're not at liberty to do that. Liberty is symbolized as the collective approval of a population. So you have the freedoms or the ability to use what they consider cuss words or profanity. But some people will say you're not at liberty to talk like that over here. For example, if you're in a courthouse or in a courtroom, the judge may say you're not at liberty to use profanity over here. You have the freedom, the ability to use profanity. They can't stop you from doing that, but they will take revenge on you, but they can action against you if you do so. Because say you're not at liberty because we don't want it over here. So liberty is subjective, while freedom is objective. But now, is human freedom unlimited? No, it's not. And again, just because you have the ability to do something doesn't mean you should. Absolute freedom only the Heavenly Father has. Human freedom is always bound to conditions and context. I mean, you may want to travel from, let's say, from Britain to China. Just what you want. However, do you have the means to do that? Now, if you have the cash in your bank account, you can pay for the plane ticket and go to China. Simple as that. However, if you arrive in China, China may put a restriction on you saying, do you have a visa to come here? What if you get into China without going through the airport? Let's say you do it old-fashioned style by sailing to China. And you're in China now, walking around. When the Chinese people there find out you entered the country without going through border control, even if they're impressed, they'll talk about it, and before you know it, the authorities come arrest you and deport you. So you have to, if you have the means to do it, you have the freedom to do it, but it doesn't mean you have the people give you the liberty. So liberty is subjective. If you go to a public park and have a barbecue over there, you can do that with people because it's a public space. But if you go to a farm that's possessed by someone, because nobody owns anything naturally anyway, the property, the one almost named property is right. You can say, listen, this is private property. You're not allowed to come here. I don't give you the liberty to be here. Now you have the freedom to still be there if you want, but then he can say, okay, because I want you to be here, I can use force against you to catch you off my property, or I can call the cops on you. Now, criminals overrule this coming with weapons. When criminals arrive on your property with weapons and you're unarmed, guess what? Your liberty cannot be enforced because they now have more ability than you to be there. Let's say now you have foreign troops invading a country and they occupy your farm, and your own government doesn't have the ability to fight them yet. In that case, you've been taken over by foreign power. So now they have freedom over your land. So they don't have the liberty because they have no consent from you, but you have no consent to give because you don't have an ability to enforce it. So liberty can only exist because liberty is something we made up. Liberty can only exist if you have the ability to enforce it. If you don't have the ability to enforce this, you can't. It does. Let me say it's ridiculous to say whether or not someone has the liberty to do something if you don't have the ability to restrict them. For example, the British Parliament can make a law saying that people in France, if people in Paris has to drive on the left side of the road. They can do that. They have the freedom, the ability to do that. However, Paris is not part of their jurisdiction. So when it comes down to it, they can't enforce it. So for a British politician to say that they that the people in Paris are at liberty to drive on the right side of the road, people say, what? You can't do that because Paris is governed by the so-called sovereign state of the Republic of France. So liberty has to do you have the ability to enforce an outcome? Freedom is what people are able to do. Is it clear to you now the difference between freedom and liberty? Because it's very important to understand these two, that you don't confuse them. Is the difference clear to you now? Let me know in the live chat. Okay. By the way, for Tammy, another word in Dutch for liberty might be speelruimte. There is not really a direct Dutch word for liberty, but the close to it is speelruimte or privilege, which also the English term privilege. That's what best comes down to it. But anyway, so why did I explain the difference between freedom and liberty to you? Because you need to understand, no society wants freedom. Society is it's a population, it are the adults of a population come together to escape. Life has challenges, and nobody wants to have difficulties all the time. So people come together and decide to escape life together in a pattern. And they transfer this pattern onto their children, and their children, so it goes on and on. That's society. Community are people locally living together, or people at a distance having the same values and collaborating with one another. That's community. Society, community are not the same. Community has autonomy. Autonomy is the ability of a group of people to pursue their interests together. Individual autonomy is how you can function within a group. That's individual autonomy. So autonomy and freedom are not the same. Autonomy means your ability to relatively make decisions within a group. You have the group's autonomy, that's people collectively come together and they make decisions, or the leaders do. And you have individual autonomy, which you can choose from options. Okay? So, and sovereignty, so the final say is only down my father. I know there are human beings claim to be sovereign, free will, I will whatever I will, boundaries, privacy, whatever. No, only my father is sovereign. We call it sovereign state when a country is so-called independent, but listen, only my father is sovereign, nobody else is. Okay, let me see. Okay, my audio is still working. So society and freedom don't go together. The freedom simply your ability to do something. A human being does not have the freedom to fly because we have no wings. A bird has the freedom to fly, but we don't talk about humans right now. But a human does have freedom to run around. A human being has freedom to build a car or a vehicle to drive around. And we can build airplanes to fly, but we don't have the freedom to fly ourselves. Unless the Heavenly Father would grant you the ability to, you know, change the density of your physical body, then you will be able to float around in the sky, unless the Heavenly Father grants you the physical ability to change the weight of your body and to use the electromagnetic field of the earth to teleport, you cannot fly. So freedom has to do with the ability to do something or to get something done. Power is when God gives you the strength to get something done despite resistance. That's power. Human beings don't have any power. Human beings can have might. Might means strength to enforce something. Power and might are similar. The difference is human beings can have might when they use weapons or they use physical aggression. Okay? That's might. Power is the ability, whether or not with might, to get outcomes. And only that before there's power. Violence is when you misuse your leverage to either harm or try to harm others just to have your way so that you're not challenged. That's violence. So there's all difference with it. The world has violence. Society is a violent construct. So there's no freedom in it. So society cannot work if people operate in their natural freedom. And here's another thing. Freedom is no entitlement to will whatever you will. That's narcissism. As if you don't owe anyone any consideration nor any care or whatever. But that's what a lot of people think. Freedom, I can will whatever you will. No. Willing whatever you will is narcissism. You acting like nobody else may accept your comfort. The thing is, when you operate in freedom, you realize very quickly that you can't do everything by yourself. You realize very quickly others can also do everything by themselves. We need one another, so we have the obligation to look after one another so we all are healthy and sane. So when you opt in freedom, you end up with human communities. And then you also realize that, you know what, we better not keep escaping and act like nothing goes on. But that's in society. Society is all about escaping. Society is a narcissist, as I explained. So no society wants you to have unrestrained financial influence. Okay, let me say this one more time. No society wants you to have unrestrained financial influence. Write this down in live chat, all of you. Unless you're in traffic, then stay hands-free with your hands on the steering wheel. But for those who are not in traffic right now, write it down in the live chat, all of you. No society wants you to have unrestrained financial influence. Write it down, all of you. This is very important. No society wants you to have unrestrained financial influence. Why it's important to understand this? Because a lot of people, it's not just people from the United States, a lot of people worldwide follow this Western hoax that once you work hard, you earn more cash, you become rich, and you can do whatever you want, nobody has anything to tell you. That's not reality. First of all, you have to pay taxes. And after you pay taxes, your cash is restored somewhere. Also, when you want to do something, you have the public have feelings certain way about it. So they may come with restrictions on you through the government or through uh, groups that support their interests. And remember, you are not God. You don't have all you don't have absolute freedom. Your freedom as human being is always relative. That Father can increase or decrease your freedom based on Him entrusting power onto you, but that's something completely different. Now, I want you to think about the following: if you did not have to pay rent nor pay bills, would you still get a job? I want you to answer this question, all of you. If you did not have to pay bills, if you could live in your house with electricity, water, all utilities, and you didn't have to pay bills, nor pay rent, nor your mortgage, would you still get a job? Let me know in the live chat. Mhm. So, Diamond said no, if food was also free. What about the rest of you? Would you still look for a job and have to wake up every morning to go to your job if you did not have to pay bills nor rent and food was, or you didn't have to pay for food also? Would you still do it? Let me know in the live chat. Okay, so it's clear now. The reason you get a job is because necessity for you to have food, water, clothes, a place to live, a roof above your head, and you need utilities. The utility bills and the rent are paid with cash. In this case, banknotes. And the banknotes are printed by who? The government. Okay, think about it. Let's say I told people before you call me, please check whether I'm doing a live stream. Okay, I'm not going to respond now. I'll call this brother back later. But anyway, it if let's say the Netherlands has 18 million people. We don't have 18 million people yet in the Netherlands. Let's say the Netherlands has 18 million people. And let's leave out the babies and the little children, and to some extent, people below age 12. So let's say now that we have, let's say, 12 million people above age 12. I'm not sure, but let's say you have 12 million people above age 12. And they all go to the supermarkets, or they all do transaction in life. Why doesn't the government say, you know what? We have 12 million people above age 12. You know what we're about to do? We're going to take all this paper and all this ink, and we're going to print the right amount for each individual above 12 years old. Each month, each individual in this country gets, let's say, now they can't do it anymore because they're part of the eurozone, the euro. But let's say now we go back in time when, let's say we go back in time when the Netherlands only had, okay, Okay, can you all hear me? Okay, that's good. Let's say we go back in time when the Netherlands only had 3 million people, somewhere in the 19th century. Let's go back to the 19th century when the Dutch still had their own currency, the Dutch guilders. Okay? Or in Dutch called it the Nederlandse florijn or gulden. But anyway, let's say now you have 3 million people in the Netherlands and there are 2 million of them are adults, or at least people with capacity beyond childhood. Why doesn't the Dutch government just say, you know what, we have 2 million people, we have 3 million people as population, 2 million who are beyond childhood, so you know what, let's print enough Dutch guilders for everyone. Let's say each individual gets 1,000 guilders each month. We just send a mailman and drop the 1,000 guilders at their house. So everyone has enough to pay for any bill or rent they have. If they would do that, life would be much easier, right? But no, what did they do? They print the banknotes. They tell you in this country you have to use these banknotes to pay. You're going to pay with foreign currencies. And we better not hear that you counterfeit this currency or else we put you in prison. So you need this currency, or in case it's banknotes, to pay rent, pay your bills, all of that. But they give the banknotes to the banks, and the banks give them to corporations or to rich families. And now you, who need the banknotes to operate in life, you either have to go to the bank, but likely you won't get it because you're not an entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur, maybe your business is not good enough. So you have to go to the people that the bank entrusted the cash to and work for them. Okay, but what if there are not enough jobs for everyone? That means now there's a surplus of people who will end up homeless. This is done on purpose. Homelessness is something that's created on purpose to give the common people out there who are worldlinks narcissistic flight feel better about themselves. Because worldlinks, as I mentioned before, they lack self-worth because they don't serve the Heavenly Father. And to compensate the lack of self-worth, they control one another. And this controlling behavior often becomes violent. So to calm the public down, the government arrange things in such a way that some people end up losing. And in daily life, if you encounter a homeless individual, you'll feel relieved you're not like them. That does not mean that your situation is ideal, but at least you'll be happy you're not like this individual. So the homeless individual serves the function to relieve yourself and calm you down on the inside. Because if everyone was in the same miserable situation, and everyone really realized, well, don't mean we're all miserable over here, people are going to lose it. So society needs people to be worse off as the losers, so that others can feel like they're winners. Even it could be that you're exploited and harmed at work. It could be you are developing disease because you're working so hard, but hey, at least you're not homeless. So that's what I want you to understand. Of your poverty is something generated by the governments to give more supply to the population. They tell you work hard. Listen, and also how hard you work. We'll make the banknotes. You can work hard at the factory. If you don't have the banknotes, they can't pay you. So, and the banknotes are printed anyway. You working hard doesn't create the banknotes. The banknotes are already made. It's just that they expect you to work hard for you to get the banknotes. It's an arrangement. It's not natural. So if currencies are politically motivated to generate losers amongst populations and people look down upon, do you seriously think the public wants you to have unlimited access to banknotes? Do you think the public is going to be okay with that? If the public submits themselves to this pattern of exploitation that generates people that lose, like homeless people, and they get along with that to relieve themselves, they don't value themselves enough to revolt, search for the Heavenly Father, and generate a better economy. If the public is like this, what makes you think they're going to be okay with you having unlimited access to banknotes? What do you think? Let me know in the live chat, please. Do you think the public's going to be okay with them being subjected to this toxic regulation that they need to work all the time, but you come around with unlimited access to banknotes? You think people will be happy with that? What do you think? Let me know in the live chat. No, they're not going to be. Why do I need to wake up every morning to go to work? Being exhausted all the time, you just lay back at home and you get paid. What the heck is that? I'm sorry. The banknotes are printed by the government. So if the government arranged with this citizen that they don't have to work, they get paid welfare. Yeah, but we pay the tax. Okay, from the cash you earn, you give a little bit back. Those are the taxes. However, aren't the banknotes made by the same government that wants you to pay them back the banknotes? Oh, but Rashid, maybe someone came with foreign currency. And now with foreign currency, they purchase local currency. But even then, still, the banknotes of the local currency are made by the government. So, hold on a minute. If the banknotes are printed and the government decides, okay, so the banknotes belong to the government because they're the ones that printed it. Is there a copyright? Because if you try to remake your own US dollar, you'll go to prison. If I would make my own version of the euro, they would arrest me. So if the currency is printed by the government and they have the copyright on it, they might as well ask all of it back. But they can't do that because or else nothing will function. That's why they only ask for a little bit of it back, which is called taxes. But if the government decides to take their banknotes and to give it for free to one of their citizens, and with you this arrangement that you have to work and contribute to get the banknotes, guess what? This arrangement you're in is something you submitted to that you have to work. Now, you may have not had another option. Because if you didn't work, you would have been homeless on the street. In this case, you've been forced by those around you to enter this arrangement. So you have to work to get banknotes. The other individual has the opportunity not to work to get banknotes and get banknotes. Who, as a matter of fact, there are multimillionaires and billionaires out there who don't even work at all, but the governments hand them subsidies. Subsidies are a type of welfare on the condition that you use it for the economy. Elon Musk kind of became rich that way, but you can do the research about it for yourself. Okay? So there are enough people out there, not just people on welfare being lazy. There are also other people in the world who get banknotes, whether it's US dollars, euros, British pounds, Kuwaiti dinar, Japanese yen, Korean won, whatever it is. They get banknotes, they don't even do work. That's the arrangement they're in. So if you're upset that you have to wake up and go to work every day, who do you need to be upset with? The people around you. We're not financially prosperous. Because the people around you are financially prosperous and look after you, you won't even have to do that. Or you have to be upset with your government, saying, why do they have this arrangement and I need to keep working all the time? That's what you need to be upset with. Not other individual would also have to work to get the banknotes. But here's the thing, fallen mankind in a sin state, a lot of our people from a species are cowards. They want to face things, so they'd rather be upset with you getting welfare, saying, why don't you go to work every day, than to admit, hold on a minute, why are we in this arrangement? This is not related to the topic. Let's say now your husband cheated on you. Are you going to be upset with the woman he's cheating with? Now, if the woman he's cheating with knew that he's married, okay, she's wrong too. But who's the one deciding to be there? Your husband. So even if the other woman is wrong for going after a married man, your husband made himself available and decided to get engaged with this individual while he's married to you. So you have to remove the other woman and talk to your husband. If your wife is cheating on you or she's entertaining, flirting with other men, are you going to end up with this other man? Okay, even if this other man know that your wife is, some of these men don't even know your wife is married because she may pretend like she's single. But even if this other men know, you're not going to go after this man because your wife is the one opening herself up, herself available to be flirted at, all of that. So you need to say, darling, do you want to stay with me? If you want to leave me, okay, fine. But you're not going to rage against the other people instead of face it in the face you have to face. But when it comes to sexual relationships, often when cheating happens, the spouse or the individual cheated upon may focus all the anger on the other party instead of their own partner who is doing the cheating. It often happens. But the same it is when it comes to finances. If you're in a financial situation that you're not happy with or that's actually doesn't work well for you, you need to admit it. You need to also self-reflect and realize how to end up here. And as believers, you pray and fast about it, you decree and declare, and then you take steps to get out of the financial situation. Now, their unbelievers will become pagan and they also do something about it. But common people often just want an outlet. They'll put up with a toxic yoke of working all the time, but then they take it out on the homeless individual, take it out on someone nearby, or take it out on someone at work. That's how they are. A lot of people in the world. Not all, but a lot of people are. Okay, now you know the psychology of the masses. Nobody, when I say nobody, there are exceptions, of course, to what I'm saying here, but in general, nobody in the world wants you to have financial autonomy. They don't. Haven't you noticed, even online, when you share you got a new job, people on social media, people praise you. Yeah, yeah, you got a job. People clap for you. You tell them start a new business, less people celebrate that. You show them not only such a business, business thriving, there will be people cheering you on, but guess what? There's going to be a lot of people seeing it and not even responding at all. Let me tell you why. If you have a job, you're operating in liberty. You're operating societal restrictions. So if you don't dress a certain way, talk a certain way, behave a certain way, or even respond a certain way, people at work, or whether it's the employer or your fellow colleagues, will fall out with you, you will lose your job. If you lose your job, you're in financial difficulty. Or if people really have issues against you, they can harass your employer. And because those people are related to you, your employer will think, you know what, I'm better off not having you here because with you here, all these people will constantly want to harass me. So if you have a job, the public feel that they have a leverage over you. They can sabotage it anytime if you go too far and don't comply with their boundaries. But if you have your own business, it's more difficult to do this. It's more difficult. They can still do it, but it's going to be more difficult because to blacklist a business is a whole process. But if you have your own business and you still have, but you have a better reputation because people don't like you, that can work against you getting clients and customers. So a lot of people will not spend their cash on your business if you have a better reputation because it will backfire on them. But what if now you have your own business and you got the grants, you got the capital investment, and now you're thriving? How can the common public now have any to say or to will about you? They kind of nothing to say or to will anymore about you. You're still a vulnerable human being, like they are, so they can still take action against you. It's going to be extremely difficult because you already had the leverage. And because they have no financial leverage, they don't have to hope someone with financial leverage take action against you. But those people with financial leverage will likely not do it that easily. So you get a job, many applause. You break through financially, people see it, ignore it, some will even directly attack you. That's the reality of the world. So society always want to control your financial outcomes. Always. Society always want to control your financial outcomes. Even when you look at a lot of these quote unquote rich families out there, you'll figure out very quickly that many of these rich families are not robbed nor killed off because somewhere they contribute to the relief of the masses. Or those families are so dysfunctional that the masses can look down on them and still think, you know what, even though I have to wake up every morning to go to work, even though I have employers screaming at me at work, even though I only have 2 weeks a year vacation, I'm still not as insane like that millionaire who's drunk all the time and self-destructive. So as long as the public somewhere can look down on you, they will give you liberty to have a lot of cash. Let me tell you one thing. If you are a believer walking by faith, totally healthy, mentally, emotionally, and physically, you're healthy completely, and there is no blackmail out only out there. You've processed your past. You're blameless. If you have a millionaire or billionaire status, and there's no blackmail on you, and you're fully healthy and capable, do you think people in the world in general are going to be happy with that? No. A lot of people are going to be upset, angry, pissed off, irritated at that. And if you are also acting out your financial leverage to get things done, that means you're now impacting their lives. You have a leverage to impact their lives, but they don't have the ability to directly impact yours. You have power over them because you have leverage over them. Power leverage is not the same. You can have a leverage over someone, but doesn't mean you have power over them. As a believer, you can have power over people if God gives you power. Unbelievers don't have leverage over people, but not power over them. But For people in the world, it doesn't matter. It's leverage or power. To them, it's the same. You have overwhelming influence over them. And they're gonna feel like we never asked for this. Is our saying this? Strangely enough, they will never go to these satanic families who use the authorities to exploit and harm them. They'll never go to these criminal satanic families, tell them, when we never asked for you guys. They never do that. But they will come towards you, who's doing the will, Heavenly Father, complaining who you think you are, who asked for your influence, why do you have so much money, why do you this and that? They'll come with you. Strange, they won't argue with the satanic families who use black magic and witchcraft to control them. They won't go after them. Why? Because those people are in darkness and they can look down on them and get narcissistic supply. But with you, doing the will of Heavenly Father, improving, being fully healthy, and having leverage and power that they have no answers to, your good quality reveals how toxic they are. And because they can't just ignore you, act like don't exist, because you have leverage over them, they're not going to leave you alone. I'm telling you, they are not going to leave you alone. And when does the government come in? Imagine now the budget of the government. Let's take a small country. Let's say the budget of your government is $50 billion, and you have a financial capacity of 200 billion. That means you're 4 times the budget of the actual government of a country. That means in practice, in theory at least, you can bypass the government easily. In practice, you can offer people so many options that they think we don't even need this government. But here's the thing, if you become an alternative to the actual government of a country itself, that alone will demotivate citizens to obey the laws of the land. Because there's always an alternative we can go to. And because of that, it will deregulate public order. It will give more insecurity to the people. And here's the thing, if the judge signs your arrest warrant, they need to send the cops to get you. The police officers need to be paid. The police van need to be paid. The prison needs to be paid and maintained. If you have more financial capacity than the government itself, you can pay your own militias to fight off the police if the police comes to arrest you. And this is something drug cartels are doing in Mexico. They have a lot of cash and they're paying their own militias to fight off Mexican police officers when they come to enforce the law. Now, this doesn't mean that you're going to do that, but if you have a lot of financial capacity, you have the ability, in theory and practice, to bypass the laws of the land. It doesn't mean that later they cannot enforce law again and arrest you, but you have the ability in practice, the factor to do that. Do you think government's going to be okay with you having more financial capacity than they have? Just let me know in the live stream what you think. Do you think government's going to be okay with you having more financial capacity than the government has? Do you think the government's going to be comfortable with that? Let me know in the live chat. What do you think? Do you think government's going to be okay with you having more financial capacity than they do? Hmm. Right to make plain. Worldlinks form societies to escape, and worldlinks don't believe in abundance. So they all submit to toxic restrictions to get not safe supply. So the population itself will not be happy with you. The government has to regulate the violence and the moods of the population. They need this financial leverage so that people will feel like, you know what, no matter who you are, if you go too far, the government can injure you. The government has the cash and the manpower to arrest you, put you in prison, or to shut you down. But what if you have people now? What if you have 20 billionaires in a country and all these billionaires together are one giant group of friends and they have far more capacity than the government? Okay? You think, let's say you have 20 billionaires. Let me take a country. You take the country. Let me think of a very small country right now. Let's take, for example, Estonia. Estonia is a tiny country in Europe. I have a residency from that country, by the way, so that I can do business through that country. But anyway, Estonia has around, I believe, 1.3 million people or less. They don't have that many people, okay? And I believe 25% is also Russian. There's a bit of controversy. Anyway, you can look at this of yourself. Your portion population is Russian, and the rest is just from the Estonian ethnicity. Anyway, Estonia doesn't have that many people. Okay, let's say now you have 20 billionaires living there, and they became billionaires by using cryptocurrency. Let's say you have 20 billionaires that became billionaires a legal way. They didn't do criminal activity, but they're legal billionaires. Okay, and all these billionaires are all friends of one another, having the same vision. But these billionaires have more financial capacity than the Estonian government. At some point, the secret services of Estonia and the Estonian police is going to investigate these billionaires to see if they can get something on them, to blackmail them so that they will work with Estonian society. Because what if you have 20 billionaires and they're more focused on Brazil and Latin America? That means they're using their financial capacity for Brazil, but live in Estonia. Now, they may pay taxes to Estonia, but nevertheless, uh, the relationship is that Estonia now relies on them, have more capacity than Estonian government itself. There's going to be conflict between the government and these billionaires. Oh, forget about it. Let's say now you have a country, let's say Cameroon, a country in Africa, and you are a local born there in Cameroon, you're a citizen of Cameroon, and sure now you have an online business. First, let's say you're an influencer on YouTube and you get millions of views on YouTube, and now you have an online shop selling a lot of stuff. You're becoming more, you gain more and more cash. At some point, your own friends and family will try to set you up. That's what pathetic fall of mankind is. Apart from your family, you'll have other people around who are going to be nervous with the fact you have so much leverage. And at some point, you will report to the authorities, and authorities will begin to make life hard on you on behalf of the public. Because remember, the government can only exist if there's a population that they can govern. So the government has to prove itself that they can manage the population, or else they will lose their legitimacy and they will cease to exist as a government. So if the government notices that a lot of people are upset with you having leverage, at some point, even if you're innocent and you didn't break the law, the government will have to get involved to somehow contain you. Because if the government allows you just increase in leverage, well, a lot of people don't want you to have leverage. At some point, people are going to become violent towards you. And once you have a lot of people who don't like you, who can't stand you, and they all turn to physical violence against you, the government cannot stop it anymore. Now the government has to fight the whole people. They'll turn into a civil war, or the government doesn't want that to happen. So that's why every government on the earth of every country has financial restrictions on its population. There is no government on earth that will promote you becoming rich. First of all, you, an individual, cannot become rich. Communities get become rich. But you get what I mean. Let's say you and your family, you and your group of friends, together form a group and you're in trade. There is no government on earth that's going to facilitate you as a group to become rich, unless there's some leverage that the government has over you they can use against you at all times. Because the government knows if the public gets upset with you all and they're not able to stop you, the public's going to turn on them and on each other. So a lot of these billionaires in the world, you need to ask yourself, how did they become billionaires? Russia, some of them inherited the cash from the grandparents who passed away. Okay, but even then, there's also such thing as inheritance tax. And there are times the governments take confiscate your inheritance, saying, well, your grandfather didn't pay taxes, so he earned this cash illegally, so we need to take it away. Governments can make up any excuse to take away finances from you. In 2010, that was 100 years after the Japanese Empire took colonized Korea. Korea was freed in 1945, 100 years after the takeover of Korea by Japan completely. The Korean government chased after the descendants of those who collaborated with Japan, and they had to hand over a lot of financial assets to the Korean government. If they didn't, action would be taken against them. Oh, but it was my grandfather who did this. It wasn't me, it was my great grandparents. Yeah, they collaborated with a foreign power to oppress and harm our people. And you the descendants should have corrected this by reinvesting the illegally earned gain of your ancestors. But you didn't do that. You kept you kept the unfair leverage you had over your own people based on the crimes that your ancestors committed. So now you're going to work with us, or we're going to take action against you. So I'm telling you, anyone out there who's increasing in finances, the moment you're building for an economic relevancy, you are not only faced with retaliation by the public, but you're going to get authorities harassing you. Even if you didn't break any law, even if you have no criminal record, even if you have nothing wrong with you, they will still make it hard on you. Because listen, if the public decides they don't like you anymore and you get a better reputation, whatever, people expect the government to do the dirty job for them. If the government can't do that, it's going to be unrest. So that's why not all, but a lot of these people become billionaires eventually, are part of fraternities or secret societies. You will find actual believers out there who actually obtain a lot of economic relevancy, yet throughout history, and you'll have it again these days too, but it's not going to be an easy thing. Is this all clear to you? Let me know in the live chat. So the thing about the American dream, I just want to show you, my bad. Let me show the screen with you. Share screen. American dream. The American dream is a phrase referring to a per- perpetrated national ethos of the United States. And what is ethos? Ethos is a Greek word meaning character that's used to describe the guiding beliefs or ideals that characterize a community, nation, or ideology, and the balance between caution and passion. Okay. Okay, so the ethos of the United States is the American dream. It was popularized by James Truslow Adams, and this guy is from his. He's from. He was actually Hispanic, but his passport was of the United States, so he was called an American. He was called American. However, he has ancestry going all back to Spain and Latin America. So this Hispanic American, he came up with. Um, he began to popularize the term American Dream. And let's go over here. Adams defined as that dream of a land in which life should be better and richer and fuller for everyone, with opportunity for each according to ability and achievement. It is not a dream of motor cars and high wages merely, but a dream of social order in which man and each woman shall be able to attain the fullest stature of which they are innately capable and be recognized by others for what they are, regardless of the fortuitous circumstances of birth or position. So this was a dream of no matter where you're from, what your background is, you can have a good life and financially better off over here. There's a lot wrong with this statement over here. Can someone please explain to me what is wrong with this statement over here? Please let me know in the live chat. What? Tell me all that's wrong with this statement over here. Please let me know in the live chat. I'll wait for 2 minutes. Tell me what is wrong with this statement over here. There's a lot wrong with it. Let me know in the live chat. Every one of you, let me know in the live chat what is wrong with this statement over here. All right. Aaron says innate capability provides fuel for scapegoating. Absolutely. Because that means that if you, so that means that if a lot of people expect to get rich and they don't get rich, they'll say, well, it's your innate ability uh, to get rich. But what if now um, people want to make more cash, but they're blocked from doing so? Now others can use it against you. Well, you didn't work hard enough. This is what it comes down to. And Aaron says the main thing wrong is that they operate outside the will of God and seek success in their own efforts. Absolutely. Mark says it is as if it's saying that people are unable to be recognized anywhere else in the world. It gives people false hope to be recognized in the United States. Yes. Thank you, Mark. As an anthropologist, I applaud this. Well done, Mark. You absolutely. By the way, Mark's a journalist, by the way, and a psychologist, so he can understand these things. The thing is, um, the whole idea of the American dream already existed in the 18th century, in which a British governor said, "You know what? We dream to take over the rest of the continent." I paraphrase now, but there's something like that he said that the people here are dreaming of going more land inwards. So British expansion of North America was a dream a lot of settlers from Britain had back then. For them, it was America's dream. Over time, when those British colonies became independent in the United States, the dream kind of shifted. Now it became take over Indian lands, which they later did with the Indian Removal Act. Also, later the Trail of Tears. So you get what I mean. What I'm saying is the American dream came down to the following. If you can't make it in your own country, or if you want to escape being responsible to the people in your own land, just come over here. We will leave you alone. You can do whatever you want. So let's say you have a woman from Bangladesh or from Myanmar or Thailand, whatever, and in her own local community, they expect her to be an honorable woman, but she just wants to whore around and take advantage of men financially. In her own homeland, she may even be executed, or she may face jail time, or she may be an outcast, becoming homeless because of that. But then she hears, man, in America, the land of the free. You know what? Let me go to America, renounce the citizenship of my country, become an American citizen, and hey, I can will what I will over here. I can whore around as much as I want as long as I pay the taxes to the IRS. That is the idea of the American dream. The United States became relevant as a country because it became an escape country for everyone who wanted to escape their own nations. That's why so many Europeans flood into the United States in the 19th century. They were fleeing Europe where they were either suppressed, oppressed, or where they couldn't get away with being reprobates. That's why a lot of European Americans seldom refer to their national background in Europe. Man, we're not Europeans, we're Americans, we're white Americans, blah, blah, blah. Now I know why. So what I'm saying is that you can all hear me. Okay, that's good. There was an error with my internet connection. So the United States became relevant by being an escape country for a lot of people. So a lot of people that fled and became American citizens, not all of them, but a lot of them had questionable motives. And those questionable motives followed their descendants. And that can explain why the United States is such a horrible condition is today. But anyway, that's a more sociology of something else. Sociology of the United States. But just understand the following. The whole American dream is based on denying your national heritage, denying your obligations towards your own kin, and just thinking that once you get all the cash, you can will whatever you will. It's delusional. Okay, so and don't forget, the United States enlarged itself for a big portion, though, to genocide of the indigenous Americans that live there. So yeah, land of the free, free for whom? Make America great again. For who are they make America great again? Well, anyway, I hope this live stream is clear onto you. Any form of cash that's printed by governments comes with an unexamined expectation of those governments. And the unexamined expectation is if you have a lot of this cash, you'll follow the escapes of the masses. If you don't, we'll move heaven and earth to take the cash away from you. Even if you're not doing any crime or anything illegal, we'll find a way to take away from you because we can't have you becoming a risk of sending the public and make life hard on us to manage the public. So as a believer walking by faith, and you're increasing financially and you become economically relevant, you'll face a multi-front war. I'm just preparing you. So you will get the option to be compromised. If you're compromised, the blessing of God won't work anymore. You lose everything. And now you rely on their pagan or satanic leverage. So let me say it like this. To be wealthy and rich in this world, you either follow the guidelines of the Heavenly Father, and when you follow his guidelines, you will end up wealthy and rich as together, as a collective, but you'll have to face the fights against you and the rage against you. Or you go according to the patterns of society, and you'll have some relief with a lot of cash, but you're bound to the toxicity of the masses. It's one to two. Okay? So, how do you want to be wealthy? Let me live chat. The Heavenly Father's way, which also implies you have to overrule the violence of the masses, or you want to be wealthy the world's way, subjected to the blackmail and violence of the public. Which one do you which one do you want? Let me know in the live chat. God is good. The world's way will work, but will work against you in the long run. And because you're subjected to blackmail and violence, you can be taken out or injured anytime. You do it God's way, you'll face a lot of attacks on you. However, because you're 100% safe, you'll survive and thrive anyway. Only the Heavenly Father has power. The world has no power. They only have tricks and violence. So do you rather rely on the Heavenly Father who has power or on the tricks and violence of society? Well, it's up to you. Well, it's not really up to you. You should do it God's way. I'm just telling you, you have to choose God's way. Amen. Well, okay. Are there any questions about this topic? Please let me know in the live chat. Please let me know. Mm-hmm. Okay, I got no questions over here. Okay, let me just wait for a little minute more. Okay, I didn't get any questions. Thank you all for being here. Keep on agreeing with Christ, and I'll see you next live stream. Donate the links below. Check on Amazon. Subscribe to the channel. Remember the channel. Be at peace.